Good evening, and thanks once again for joining us here on Speed Racing Network. No, it's not Sean Griffith. It's me, Greg Olenek, up here in the booth with my good buddy Brandon Domain here tonight at Iowa Speedway for the Hawkeye 115. Sean had to step into the admin booth tonight and take care of some business down there, so I was gracious enough to take over this broadcast here tonight since, I ain't got much to race for here at Iowa. But Brandon, there is a lot on the line for 11 drivers here in the Truck Series, kicking off that second round of playoff action tonight.
Yeah, fourth straight season we find a way to make it a round of 11 for one of the divisions, and once again it's the truck side with that tie on the cut line last week. So 11 drivers now sitting all at level points. Wide open opportunity as we started on the final short track of the season here in the Truck Series.
Yeah, there you see it, the 11 drivers that are going to be vying for that maybe potentially final 5 spot. Who knows? We usually see 6 here in the trucks. They just can never sort it out among themselves. But you know what? The more the merrier. But there you see the 11 guys we got going for that final round in Las Vegas. Sean Jensick, Brad Herman, Matt Greathouse. All 3 of those drivers have been stellar here this season. Kyle Spees with those 3 Speedway wins here. He's going to be looking to maybe make some noise in this second round. Blair Holloman, Michael Madden, Michael Larch, Trevor Williams, last week's winner. He's got 2 wins in the book now. Ben Park, Lane Doyle, and Austin Purnell. All 11 of those guys going for it here this round. Lena Cardulo, Lucas Lyons, Jose Ruiz, Jose Castellanos, and Rob Yost Jr. Well, they're out of it here.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny. You look at the left side of this, and we promise it's not winning in. It ain't anything like that, but all the winners this season making their way to the top of the chart for that top 8 coming out of that last round. But we're going to be whittling that down. So some of those guys with some wins are finally going to get eliminated here. It's just which ones are going to be there coming up short of that championship 5.
Yeah, and we've had a few drivers eliminated from the playoffs, and we've had some teams eliminated from the team championship standings too. Let's take a look at those results from last week there. There you see it on your screen. Kentucky, I can tell you for a fact, was a tough track, and it shows, but still Phoenix got the win over Rat Pack Racing 105-81. JW took out Tank Racing 116-77 there. JBR getting the win over Zuyost 74-52. And Threat Level Midnight Motorsports, well, they got the win over TJ's Team Foundation there 67-46. And well, that locked up our championship matchup. Phoenix Virtual Racing and JW Racing, they have sealed their spots in that championship round, but still we got to sort out that third place matchup between Zuyost Racing, Threat Level Midnight Motorsports, and Rat Pack Racing.
Yeah, and you look at those 3 names in yellow, the one with the simplest path, they control their own destiny, is going to be Zuyost Racing. They win and they're in. Their magic number is 1. So even if they don't win, as long as either Threat Level Midnight or Rat Pack Racing lose their matchup, Zuyost will be in. Threat Level, they're kind of sitting in a similar spot. They either have to win or get a Rat Pack loss. Rat Pack is the one that's needing some help, though. They've got to win. They also got to get a loss from either Threat Level Midnight or a loss by Zuyost, and also outscore Zuyost by more than 3 points tonight. So there's a whole lot of scenarios still in play coming to this final week before we get to that team championship.
And you kind of mentioned that Zuyost might owe Phoenix Virtual Racing a little bit of an edible arrangement. Got a good laugh out of that before we came on here because, I mean, I'm on PVR and I'm up here in the booth today, and Jose Castellanos, he has some things to take care of off the track here tonight as well. So they're going to get 3 guys off the PVR. But, I mean, those 3 guys, Kevin Asanio, Matt Greathouse, and Andrew Harris, can still get it done. So that's the matchup for Zuyost here this week. JW going up against Rat Pack. So both of those teams having to go up against the top 2 squads here tonight to potentially clinch a third round matchup. TJ's team going up against JBR and Tank. They got Threat Level Midnight Motorsports here tonight.
Yeah, and really, I mean, you think about it, Tank has had those weeks where they've stepped up and put up a good performance despite already being knocked out of the picture. So I think all 3 teams do have a little bit of a difficult matchup to try to lock their way into that 3-4 matchup.
Yeah, so let's waste no more time and get on out there. It looks like the guys are starting to grid up on the track here at Iowa Speedway. I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to miss this race. I'm not the best short track racer. Sure, I had a good run in New Hampshire, but you know what? I don't want to get into it with these guys since it's getting down to the nitty gritty as far as the playoffs go. You'll see the drivers that are battling for those playoff spots. They're going to have the white numbers on the grid here. The rest of them will have those red numbers. So Trevor Williams picking up right where he left off, qualifying on the pole. And I mean, by 3.5 100ths of a second, too, over Brad Herman. Michael Larch, Michael Madden in row 2.
In row number 3, it's going to be Andrew Harris and Lane Doyle. Lane number 4 will be Matt Greathouse with Austin Purnell on the outside. Row number 5 will be Landon Cardulo, Jeffrey Vickery with row 6, Nathan Nixon, and Lucas Lyons.
And I forgot to turn off the sound because I was expecting to race here tonight, so let me go ahead and handle that. Brandon, you take over the rest of the grid here.
All right, sounds good. So going back a little bit farther there. In row number 7, we're going to have Danny Dow and Blair Holloman. Row number 8 will be Ben Park and Sean Kozier. Starting 17th will be Kyle Spees, another one of our playoff drivers. He'll be alongside Corey Stahl. And rounding out the top 20 is going to be Troy Techmeyer and Dean Gagliano.
Yeah, so you got to bear with me here tonight, everybody. I did not expect to do this until about 3 o'clock this afternoon when I was at work. Brandon can vouch for me. I tried to get it all set up. As you can see, I can already look and see it says race 8 of 20. That is not the case. This is race number 17 of 20 here tonight. But nonetheless, it's not going to take away from the action that we're going to see out there on the track here this evening. So heading out there, we're going to catch up with Trevor Williams, who's leading the way. Brandon, quickly, I'm going to ask you, who you got here tonight?
Well, it's the guy we just caught up to, and not because he's starting on the pole, not because he won last week, but on tracks a mile or shorter this season, he's the best out of all the playoff drivers. I think that's a number you can't really ignore for Trevor Williams, a 4.6 average in those races this season.
Okay, I like that pick. I'm going to go a little bit further on back here. I'm going to pick my teammate, Andrew Harris. I see him sitting here in 5th, and I'm kind of doing it to not pick one of these playoff drivers, so you can be the bad guy here tonight, Brandon. But I'm going to take Andrew Harris, just knowing his drive. Man, I've really come to like Andrew. I know he had a little bit of a rough start here in Speed Racing Network, but has really grown up a lot and has really grown up as far as a race car driver goes, too. And I'm excited to see what he can do. He is hungry for a win. It's gotten so close. I know I messed with him a lot out there on the track, especially when we were racing at Texas. He's got no pressure on him here tonight. I think he gets the win with all those red banners surrounding him.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to be in when you're one of the guys up there in a pack of playoff drivers. You're the one that's not, but it also means you got a whole lot less pressure on you at that point, so that could go a long way tonight.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing to have that pressure off your back here. So looking like the pace car are going to complete that round of pace lap there, and we're going to see the Silverback Tax Solutions green flag waving now that they're in the Geico restart zone. We're green for the Hawkeye 115. Man, this is making me miss it, Brandon. I miss being out there with these guys because this is my favorite series by far. These boys know how to get it done, and we're going to see a great race here tonight. One lap already in the books here as Ben Park off the track. Something happening to him. That's a playoff driver here.
Yeah, playoff driver, and I got to tell you, you see that happen on the front straightaway on lap number 1. That usually tells me cold tires coming off of turn number 4. Maybe a little contact, but this is a track real easy to lose that grip on those first couple of laps.
Well, let's take a look here. Here he is a little bit further on back in the pack. Nobody really touching him here. I think you're exactly right. Coming off of 4, loses it, saves it a little bit, but has to go down into the grass. He's going to have to rebound quickly because he can go down a lap in a hurry here at Iowa.
Yeah, and it's just such an awkward track. I mean, it looks pretty straightforward. It just looks like a D-shaped oval racetrack, but you got a progressive banking, though it's still pretty flat, 12 to 14 degrees. Not much of a drop-off on that front straightaway. You're still looking at a 10-degree banking there, but I think the big thing is just how tight the exits are out of this on this racetrack coming out of the turns. Turn 2, it's obviously looks tight, but I think 4 is pretty deceptive, and it feels like it should flow, but it really doesn't. You can see that wall catch you pretty quickly, and I think that plus cold tires, bad combination for these guys sometimes.
Yeah, it's a deceiving track. I mean, I could speak on it last week, Kentucky. Yeah, you feel like Superman for the first 10 laps or so, but man, if you eat those tires up, you feel like you're standing still to the rest of these guys. Brad Herman gets loose going into turn 3.
That was a solid drift, and he's going to lose a couple spots, but that's a heck of a save in front of the entire field. That could have been huge.
Yeah, just rebound here. Well, quickly done with 5 laps, only losing 2 spots, but now Lane Doyle right to the inside lane, who has not had the season that he wants. Another driver, like I said, Andrew Harris is hungry. I know that 47, another one that is hungry to get that first win of the season here.
Yeah, and that 47 truck for Lane Doyle, I tell you one thing that's really been encouraging for him here in the second half of the season, he's not had one race over 4 incident points on the racetrack, most of those being 0, and that's resulted in a pretty good turnaround finish-wise as well, just by keeping that truck clean. That's gone a long way for him and trying to recover here this season.
Speaking of trying to recover, that 85 still trying to recover and cool those tires down. Now he's got Michael Large to the inside of him here and quickly facing the reality of possibly falling out of the top 5 here after starting on the front row here tonight. And there goes Sean Kozer. That's the driver we saw on the inside there. He's going to be a lap down. Ben Parks still hanging out there in the back in 33rd position, our lowest running playoff driver at the moment. But you can easily find yourself outside that cut line. We're only taking 5 drivers to Las Vegas to battle for the championship unless we see a tie on that cut line. So you cannot afford to fall too far back here.
No, I mean, we saw it last night in the Cup Series, and I mean, that entire field of the round of 10, nobody is more than 9 points away from the cut line in either direction out of all 10 drivers. It's still tight, even with a pretty much a wild card race in Atlanta last night. So, I mean, this thing, it could obviously spread out with the way that this kind of short track racing goes, and there could always be some contact and some aggressive nature. But at the same time, you got to bank on, if I'm going to make it, I need to pile up these top 5s. And so making that recovery off that mistake by Brad Herman, that goes a long, long way, that he fought hard, got back in line. Now the question is going to be, how are those tires on the back end of the run after all that?
And you got to admit, too, this is probably one of the harder tracks to be patient at. You see Matt Greathouse right here. He's fallen back 3 spots since the start of this race, down to 10th now, who's had one of the best seasons so far out of all the drivers. Him and Jensic have clearly, I think, been the top 2 drivers in the truck series. But right now, it's almost really hard to kind of just let these guys go on by. That's happening right now. That high line being a freight train. Danny Dow going by, and now he's outside the top 10.
Yeah, and I think for Matt right now, he's kind of in a spot that, and I'll put the spotlight, the negative spotlight on myself a bit, kind of doing something I do and I'm trying to work on. He's leaving way too much space on the exit right now. And I could say that coming from complete exposure of knowing how that feels. He's just got to try to drift it up. He's cutting so much momentum coming off of the turns by keeping it so far down to the inside, playing it safe around all these trucks that might not know exactly where they're going to be lined up coming out of these turns sometimes. And so it's a conservative approach, but it's really scrubbing off a lot of pace there running on that inside.
Yeah, and almost kind of defeats the purpose of what you're trying to accomplish. I mean, I can tell knowing Matt Greathouse that he is just taking it easy, trying to keep those tires cool and save them for the end here, because we see a lot of long green flag runs here in the truck series. But you're turning down more on the wheel there on the exit. It kind of just defeats the purpose of what you're doing, staying that far off. He's going to try and get up there. Wow, takes almost out Kyle Spees right there. Spees going to try and do a little slide job. But Greathouse had to get up there. You could tell how desperate he was to kind of cut off that train.
Yeah, that was a very close moment, that's for sure. And he might have had maybe an inch of space there when he slid up. There wasn't much, but he got the clear either from a automated spotter or a live spotter, whoever he's got. And yeah, that barely worked, but they keep going straight. And thankfully for them, 2 playoff drivers that are well within reason of contending for a championship keep on going well, but not as well as Trevor Williams, who's continuing to hold that point.
Yeah, he's just stinking up the show at this point after winning at Kentucky. Had a great run at the end of that race to kind of run down the leader. Andrew Harris almost had an opportunity to win that race too, but Williams, with the strategy, comes away with Kentucky right now. Looks like he's going to have the fastest truck flat out here at Iowa, and everybody's going to have their hands full. And I was going to also take a look at the guy behind Andrew Harris at possibly my pick tonight. Not counting out Michael Madden, too. Just seems to show up here once the season comes to an end.
Yeah, and that honestly, that was the two guys I was looking at in terms of, you know, obviously Jensic and Greathouse have had solid seasons since the start, but I think the two hottest drivers right now through that first round are Williams and Madden. For Madden and his side of it, last week was the first time in over a month that he did not finish inside the top 10 in a race, and he just got caught up in a lap 1 incident there that knocked him out of that running for quite some time. So other than that, he's been stringing together all these top 10s. He's got the most top 10s on the season now at this rate for the entire Truck Series. And then for Williams, he sat there. He hasn't had consecutive top 10 finishes until the first 3 races of the season. He's back on that train after that round of 10, the round of 16, stringing together these consecutive top 10s again. Both those guys white hot right now coming into this middle round.
Sticking on this camera, you can see a little bit of damage to the front end of the 15. Not sure what happened, if that was the incident with Brad Herman where he kind of got loose, but it's got a little bit of dent there, it looks like, but not slowing you down when you're at a short track. He's running down Andrew Harris at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little crinkling. That could be something where maybe even on the start of the race, maybe there's a little bit of a checkup. He went a little bit quicker, and because it's not major damage, that looks like something pretty, maybe some pretty minor contact there. But like you said, short track, that's not going to be much of a problem as long as there's air getting through that grill and keeping everything cooled off. That shouldn't be a problem with that kind of damage.
Right now, 2nd through 5th, all nose to tail. This is Harris, Madden, Herman, and Doyle all battling for this 2nd spot. And then you got Nathan Nixon, Michael Larch a little bit further back, so they're having a good night too. Good to see Nathan Nixon up here running in the top 10. But right now, Larch looking like he's going to take a look to the inside, maybe try to make a move back here.
That's a great run there, and a lot of space left there from Nathan Nixon. He might be either knowing, hey, I don't want to be kind of forcing the issue here, or maybe he just really feels comfortable with that high line, which we haven't seen a whole lot tonight, because you see him running that, and like I mentioned earlier, progressive banking, couple degrees more, you can keep a little bit more momentum there. That high line might be starting to come in at this point in the tire run.
Yeah, when you get that higher banking too up there, you're not going to eat the tires up as much as you are trying to force it down there on the bottom. Now, yeah, some tracks when you are using that high line and it's faster, you're going to see the tires go way, woo, got a little bit of a dicey moment there. They stay off of each other, but Nixon can really stay up there and not have to worry about melting those tires too much.
Yeah, and I think that time he just got maybe a little too close to the wall. I didn't see any smoke or anything like that, but might have just kind of scrubbed it just that little bit, got loose. And, man, we were worried about the tires for Brad Herman, but look where he is back now, just making his way back up through the field.
Yeah, he's back up to 3rd. He got by Lane Doyle as well as Michael Madden. Madden back to 5th after we saw him potentially going after Andrew Harris for 2nd. So that got all shuffled up. Andrew Harris into the wall.
Ooh. That was a Code Brown moment for sure for Brad Herman and Lane Doyle, as they had to react very quickly coming off of that, as Harris got into that wall, and it just slowed him up big time, and not a lot of reaction time available for either of those two.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to hurt him too much. The damage doesn't look too significant, but that's going to rattle your confidence a little bit. If you're in the 87, you can see the right rear pretty crinkled up. That must have been where he took the brunt of the hit, but the front end looks pretty good, but he's going to lose 2 spots just like that and go back to 4th, and I already know I'm going to hear it in our Discord later.
Well, I think also for him, he was falling off on the lap times too, and it's a little difficult to make some passes at this track because you can defend pretty well. It's not an aero thing. It's just that the defense level is pretty good on this racetrack with all the lines you can take there. But I think his lap times are already falling off. I think he was losing that tire life a little bit quicker than everybody else, and I think that played a pretty big factor too.
Yeah, don't take your eyes off this pack, though. Blair Holloman looking to be pretty fast right now. Danny Dow as well. He's up here running with these boys, mixing it up in the top 10. Running with him the last couple of weeks. I know that too truck has been pretty fast, and he's looking to mix it up, maybe steal a win here tonight at Iowa. I know he loves this short track style of racing.
Yeah, this is a pretty solid run at tracks for him. I really liked his run at Kentucky, and that's just these kind of D-shaped oval tracks just fit really well for Danny, where you can kind of get into that flow and really put together some solid runs. And it's always good seeing our Mid-South Madness pre-SRN days Season 1 champion out there stringing together some good runs.
One of those MSM originals, so always good to see Dow up here. He had his son running here too with him for a while, but he's out there mixing it up in the real world of racing out there in those dirt cars. But Dow has been here since the beginning, and right now he's putting it to Blair Holloman. Blair gets into the wall just like we saw the 87 do not too long ago. These trucks really tightening up because, granted, we're 30 laps in now.
Yeah, and honestly, I was sitting here thinking, all right, going through the history here in these races at SRN, at Iowa, what are we looking at with cautions? What are we looking at with pit timing and everything like that? My thought was probably going to be enough cautions you can make this a one-stop race, but they keep running like this, staying green. This might be a little bit more of a strategy play than we were thinking.
Well, hey, it's working out. I'm telling you, this group of trucks is caning on that group that's battling just ahead of him. Andrew Harris is now falling back to 6th with Nathan Nixon going on by now. So Nixon going to go for the pass here on the inside. So the action heating up all over the track, just like we have it with the world of March Madness heating up too. If you're watching that, you're watching this, you are loving what you're seeing on your screens right now.
Absolutely, and I tell you what, one truck a couple farther back from this I would be keeping an eye on. Look at that 25 truck of Kyle Spees right now. On 3 of the last 6 laps, he's put together the fastest lap on track. There's some life in that 25 truck, maybe just playing that long game on this run.
Let's see it. I'll pull up the numbers here, typing in some numbers. Let's look at those lap times compared to the leader, our Trevor Williams, and he's not far off. I mean, he's picking up on that pack ahead of him and pretty much almost running the same times as Trevor Williams, who's now 2 seconds ahead of the rest of the field.
Yeah, his problem those last couple laps just kind of got caught back in that pack a little bit. But before all that, that little bit of a rough moment there for Holloman, kind of catching the wall, just dropping that pack back, he really was putting together some good lap times there. So my number's a little bit behind on that. But before that, had some good run going there.
He's still having a great run. I mean, we saw him get into it almost with Greathouse, and now Greathouse also moving back up through the field. He is in 11th, but this is the site for Trevor Williams right now. Clean air is key. Doesn't look like he's got too many trucks coming up here in the meantime. You don't even see anybody. They're kind of in the middle part of 3 and 4. He's going to have a good bit of laps before he catches any of these lap trucks.
Yeah, that's really shocking here at this length of a green flag run. We're 35 laps in with 34 trucks out there, and we've still yet to see a lot of interference from any lap trucks. I mean, we've got a couple that had issues early on in the race, but aside from that, everybody's still out there running at pace, and even in that one shot, we saw pretty much the entire field go by. This is a 24-second a lap track, and we're looking at the whole field separated by 17 seconds at this point. This is a really solid run.
Wow, Blair Holloman really feeling the pressure right now. That's Corey Stahl in the 33. He's the meat of the sandwich. And Lucas Lyons to the inside. They're going to sort that out, and that's Jeffrey Vickery. We saw him kind of running up through the field there. He's falling back a little bit now outside the top 10. You got the comers coming and the goers going at the moment.
And it seems to be coming at a pretty quick rate now. If you're moving forward or you're the one, unfortunately, dropping back, it seems like that trade is happening pretty quickly here. But wow, a little bit of a tight moment there coming off of 4 between Lyons, as I think he was just trying to get out of that where he fell off. And how about this? 3 wide coming off of turn 2.
Yeah, Harris is really feeling it right now. He's about to fall out of the top 10 now that this pack of trucks has caught him. Landon Cardullo now next in line to go by him. That's for 10th right there. You got Matt Greathouse, his teammate, right behind him, and Austin Purnell, 2 more playoff drivers trying to pick up spots here late in the run. I have to imagine nobody thought we would see 40 laps of green flag action to kick this thing off with 34 trucks in the field here tonight.
I mean, and for a little bit of a point of reference,
Greathouse.
Slider for Matt Greathouse.
Saves it.
That almost would have been a nightmare for him and also for Austin Purnell, another one of the round of 11 drivers, because that was right in front of him. That was almost a huge moment there for both of them. And it sounds like from the radio chatter, a little bit of a thank you for giving some space there while I gathered that up from one to the other. But yeah, I mean, this is. I'm just watching the way that this field goes. Is while we were keeping an eye on that, Lane Doyle did move into the second position around Brad Herman. But I'm just watching this top 5 right now. And they're starting to fall back, minus Trevor Williams, so second through fifth, starting to fall back towards that second pack.
Yeah, Trevor Williams putting up a blistering pace right now. He's almost up to 3 seconds ahead of everybody. This thing stays green. It's going to be hard to catch that man here tonight, but like I said, we got a big field here tonight. I would be awfully impressed if we do see all green flag action here tonight, especially with how we see these things handle on green tires, which we're going to see some green flag pit stops before too long.
And honestly, I don't think we expected to see a green flag pit stop tonight, just because, I mean, we're looking back a season ago, we saw 8 cautions for 40 laps in a race that was slightly longer for the advertised distance than this season. It was about 10 laps longer, but still, man, big issue there for Sean Jensick with the blinking. But one thing that I'm curious about with not seeing many green flag stops, and that's also on officials too, typically see a high caution rate. I'm curious how everybody's going to be aggression-wise getting back out onto the racetrack.
Yeah, I know I typically don't like to zero in on blinkers, but that's something to take note of. I mean, he's dealing with connection issues and running back in 23rd. That's Sean Jensick, who came into this round of playoffs tied with Greathouse after that first round for first place after that round. And right now, he's the second lowest running playoff truck out there back in 23rd. He's 13 seconds back of our leader, Trevor Williams, who's now catching up to some lap trucks. He's got his teammate here, Dean Gagliano here. So Gagliano in 33rd will go a lap down. First truck be in that lucky dog position.
Yeah, and they're going to start coming pretty quickly here, too, because all of a sudden the fall-off hit on that group near the back of that lead lap. So we're going to start seeing, oh, wow, never mind. Going to have Trevor Williams, first one down pit road. And I mentioned it, with cautions, this was a one-stop race easily. But with this long green flag run, that's going to make it a little bit more questionable. And we got pit stops underway for the top 2.
Yep. Lane Doyle coming down with him, Bo Tiffany. So looking like it's an all JW stop here as Gagliano, who just went that lap down, is going to come down as well. But that 45 truck really beat up on the left side. I don't even know how you get it that beat up. But nonetheless, he's going to try and get some damage fixed. Brad Herman will assume the lead, get that ever so important bonus point here in that 85 after what we saw was a shaky start for him, almost spinning out. He's back out in front of that Customer Club 85 machine.
Yeah, that's the first lead change of the night, and it comes during this green flag pit cycle. And now the question's going to be, if you're somebody like a Holloman, a Jensick, a Ben Park, are you going to sit there and say, hey, I'm going to take this shot and try to stretch this into a one-stop race and maybe make that work? The fall-off is pretty significant on this racetrack for a short track, but I mean, there's going to be some benefit there to trying to one-stop this race. It's going to be tight. But you got to imagine at some point there's going to be a caution out here to kind of help that out, too.
And I'm not going to lie either. From being back in the seat for however many races I've been running with these guys, you know me, I'm an undercut kind of guy. I feel like that's a losing strategy most of the time because those tires are so much faster on the back end. Nobody really calling their bluff so far here. Everyone's staying out to this point, just JW trucks that have coming down so far. So Trevor Williams back in 30th now with Doyle 31st, Tiffany 32nd, and Gagliano in 33rd.
Yeah, and I mean, you consider yourself an undercut guy. I think JW Racing, an undercut team most of the time. They're always the ones that are going to be on a little bit of an alternate strategy from what most people are thinking. It just seems to be their MO most weeks. And somehow it seems to work for them a lot of the time. They just get that call right, and I think most of the time, I think you can relate to this one, and I know I definitely feel this way. It seems like whichever one we go for is the wrong strategy. Speaking of JW, here's another one with Michael Larch being the next truck to come down pit road out of the top 5.
Yeah, kind of curious to see that. They usually come down together, saw 4 out of the 5 come down, and Michael Larch opting to take a few more laps. He must have liked the way his truck was running there late in that run. He's going to come down and get 4 tires and fuel. And no change out front. Brad Herman's still going to be the leader and still not showing any sign of coming down.
And this is where it's going to get interesting, too, because the longer we go, as we got Nathan Nixon and Danny Dow coming down this time out of the top 10, the longer we go, it kind of sits where if a caution comes out, you're almost in an uncomfortable spot if you've already come down pit road and you get 10, 15 laps on the tires. Everybody else comes down. But you got to stay out at that point to get the wave around to get back on the lead lap unless you're the lucky dog, which currently is Trevor Williams, as he was obviously the leader. Oh, contact there to the wall for Austin Purnell.
Seeming like that turn 4 wall is sneaking up on a lot of guys here. Is Blair Holloman now going to come down, one of our playoff drivers here, who's kind of making his way up through the field. Look at that right front, though. Looks like he's got a little bit of damage there.
Yeah, we saw that wall scrape that he had about a dozen laps ago that kind of threw off some stuff.
Damage.
But yeah, that's a lot more damage than I anticipated to see on that from that wall slide.
I don't think that's from a slide. That must have been something we didn't see there, because that is a big-time hit there. That can really affect the steering in that 10 machine. So we'll keep an eye on his progress throughout the rest of the night. Brad Herman still utilizing that middle lane and looking good in that 85 so far. We see a lot of trucks looking pretty tight. 85 of Brad Herman looks pretty fast.
Yeah, we were worried about nothing after that. That little bit of a loose moment kind of stuck him on the outside.
To do that.
Yeah, it was just he had to kind of crack up the car a little bit there, but to use another Days of Thunder line, as we've done half the season, I feel like. But yeah, I mean, this is just a really solid run here for the 85, and I'm curious where this is going to file out, though. This longer run, obviously, he's going to get the fresher tires at the end of this pit cycle, as we got a couple more coming down, including Austin Purnell. Yep. But I'm curious what that undercut is going to play out as, and then if we get a caution right after these pit stops and the back half of it, there's a whole lot that can go on here with how this race is going. But I really feel like Brad is sitting there. He's almost committed to going on this one-stop strategy.
Yeah, I don't hate it one bit. I mean, you see what's happening in front of you with Trevor Williams just pulling away from you, so why not switch it up? You know you don't have the speed to win it, and he wants to win it. Clearly, I know Brad Herman well enough to know he wants to win this race. He's not content usually with just running in second or third. When you're that close, you got to switch something up, and he knows that 85 is fast here tonight. So, yeah, I think he's going to try and stretch it. Kind of hard to believe that you can push it that far here. But there you see just behind him, Trevor Williams coming into the picture now. He's going to get that lap back here the old-fashioned way before too long.
And that's going to be a great sign or great image there for Lane Doyle, because if Trevor Williams gets around Brad Herman, gets that lap back naturally, we're going to see that 47 truck get back into that lucky dog position. So that's a big play there for two playoff drivers, both teammates as well.
Yeah, so Brad Herman not too worried about what he's seeing. He's going to let him go by, but make him use the inside lane to do it. No trouble here for the 46. He'll clear him off of 2 and be smooth sailing, trying to catch back up to Brad Herman. Once again, you can just see the difference in speed when it comes to fresh tires and older tires here. Almost 60 laps on the set. He gets real close to the wall there. Starting to look a little tighter now.
And this is the kind of the funny thing about it, too, with this pace difference and having to conserve these tires at this point in the run where everything's just really falling off on you. That's why these guys might be able to stretch it to one stop. My calculator showed about 63, 64 laps being possible when I tested it out. But because they're going to be going slower, he's got Michael Madden. He's going to be giving up on that play. He's going to come down pit road at lap 61, which is still going to be about 4 laps shy of where he needed to be to make this a one-stopper.
Yeah, that almost really makes me worry that strategy right out the window. If you can't make it at this point, it's still going to be a 2-stop race here. Whether you take 2 tires or not, you've lost so much time here. Be curious to see how this works out now if these guys cannot make it. But I have to imagine with Brad Herman still out here, he's got the calculator working, and I think he's probably saved enough too. That was running, back in 5th or 6th for a while, not pushing it. Might have been able to save enough in that 85.
Yeah, and where I was kind of going before, too, was with the tire fall off, it's going to make you have to slow up on the racetrack. And that's where I think they're going to be able to stretch this. It's not even trying to conserve the fuel mileage. You're trying to conserve the tires at that point, and it forces you to slow down, which means you're going to be on the throttle a lot less, and that's where you're going to be saving this fuel. I mean, we got another 2 more laps for Herman to make this, and where we can know that this would be a one-stop race for him, that's going to be a game changer here. And obviously, obviously Williams is going to take the lead whenever this pit stop does happen here, just because he did get back on that lead lap, the amount of time on pit road. But I'm really curious where that transition is going to be now on the tires, as Williams has been out there nearly 20 laps now.
Seeing Jeff Vickery come down off the lead lap here, so he got really close to that halfway mark too. Maybe they can make it a little further. Got to their window and are coming down now. See if Brad Herman looks like he's coming down. Nope, he's going to stay. But remember, once you hit this halfway mark, you got to go around again too. So if you're really pushing it on fuel, this could be really bad if he does miscalculate this for the 85.
Well, this is the lap right now because this is the 65th lap. So this one would tell you he finishes this lap, he's good to go the rest of the way because he just confirmed he can do it. Now the question's going to be what happens if a caution comes out, but we haven't seen that yet. You can't plan on it at this point, and he's still out there.
He's still going. Not sure if he couldn't get down that time with Doyle to the inside, but we see Greathouse Harris and Spees all on pit road. Kevin Asanio, Corey Stahl, Lucas Lyons all going to come down this time as well. This is pretty insane seeing how long the 85 has been able to make this work. Have to imagine he's coming down this time.
Yeah, there's no more benefit to staying out here any longer, and there he goes. So race leader going to be coming in. There's only 5 more that are still out there on that original set of tires, led by Byron Jones. Got Sean Jensick in there, Connor Cunningham, Jose Ruiz, and then you got Trevor Williams back there sitting about 19 seconds back. He's going to pick up the lead here very shortly as Byron Jones still staying out for one more lap. He's going to lead that last time. Actually, no, right behind. So Brad Herman still led that lap barely. But Byron Jones going to pick up that lead. Sean Jensick right behind him, but Trevor Williams now just 7 seconds back.
Yeah, we saw Jensick running back in the 23rd position. Ooh, Byron Jones really almost overshooting it there. Gets it done. That's going to be important for Jensick, though, who's looking like he wasn't having a good night. Get that bonus point. Every point matters. I mentioned it in the race yesterday where we saw Ryan Johnson edge out Johan Seminario. Excuse me, Johan. I just know I butchered your name. Seminario. By 0.02 of a second. Yeah, he's going to bring it down. It's a little sketchy there, but this is not an easy pit road to get on by any means. But that could be a very important bonus point here when the playing field is leveled after that first round. Everybody on the same amount of points coming into this round.
Yeah, and especially with the blinking issues that we saw, and that's really relegated Jensick back to sitting around outside of the top 20 for much of the night since those really flared up. He got the warning to pull back. Definitely heard the radio chatter at least, and I would assume that's where some of those spots came from. Jose Ruiz going to sit out there, and this is telling us you can go 70 laps now on this. So really kind of throwing it out there that there's a lot more possible. He sounds like he's going to be coming in this time after leading that lap. And you kind of
he might be out of fuel.
Yeah, he's definitely out of fuel.
Yep, riding on board, you can hear it. It is not happy. It is not receiving any fuel whatsoever. And that's going to cut out on him here coming down pit road. But he sent it, and unfortunately, he is going to pay for it. Luckily, though, no longer in the playoff picture after making it in that first round. So that will cycle the lead back out to this man, Trevor Williams, well out in front by 5 seconds over his teammate Lane Doyle.
And that's incredible because they came down on the same lap, and that was about a 3-second gap between the two. When they came down pit road, add another couple seconds to that. Trevor Williams just putting down some incredible laps tonight, and he's on a heck of a hot streak. And there you see it on the pylon on the left side of the screen. Brad Herman was 2.5 seconds back, 3 seconds back when these pit stops started. 17 seconds back now, but where he's going to have the benefit is with this one-stop strategy. Less time on pit road, yes. He's also got 25 lap fresher tires right now.
Yeah. So he's not only going to be faster right now, he doesn't have to pit again. So that is a lot of time gained for the 85. I'm very intrigued to see how this works out. If you are too, make sure you stick around. We're going to step aside real quick and run our first commercial break of the night. Don't go anywhere.
Want to be a part of an established league on iRacing? A league that's competitive, fun, and above all fair? Look no further than Speed Racing Network. Originally known as Mid-South Madness, SRN has evolved into a league that can bring the best out in any given driver. Drivers work their way up through the ranks to hopefully one day call themselves a champion of Speed Racing Network. If you're interested in joining, don't hesitate to reach out to league admins to claim your spot today. Maybe you'll end up in the history books. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor in Speed Racing Network, feel free to head over to www.speedracingnetwork.com and reach out to an admin today. And as always, remember to go faster.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Silverback Tax Solutions specializes in dealing with IRS tax problems. If you are receiving threatening letters from the IRS, or if the IRS has placed liens or levies on your property, Silverback Tax Solutions can help you find relief. We have worked with hundreds of people to resolve their tax problems. If you're behind on filing your taxes, it's never too late to get on the right track. Silverback Tax Solutions can help with that also. Don't let another night go by where you lose sleep worrying about the IRS or your taxes. Head over to www.silverbacktx.com or call 662-996-4357 and contact an enrolled agent today. We can help you gain peace of mind and deal with those problems for you.
There he is, Trevor Williams, still out in front by 5 seconds here for the Hawkeye 1:15. Thanks for all of our sponsors here coming out of that commercial break. Got to give a quick shout out to Silverback Tax Solutions, Butt Kicker, as well as Admin Box for coming on board, and TJ's Team Foundation. Can't thank all of them enough, and can't thank all of you guys enough for stopping by and watching here tonight. Make sure you hit that little subscribe button, hit that little bell, hit that thumbs up so you can come right back for our next race, which will be tomorrow with the Silverback Tax Series at Chicago. Should be a good one.
Yeah, and for those curious, that would be Chicago Land, the oval, not the Chicago street course. A lot of people probably nervous of thinking it was the street course there, but yeah, we're going to be sticking to the ovals the rest of the season here, closing out this playoff. And speaking of these ovals, how about this pace right now? Michael Madden's starting to close in a little bit. He's now back within about 10 seconds, but one name that we've been keeping an eye on is going to be a little bit farther back, just coming into that screen. Brad Herman, he's going to be the one that's on the alternate strategy compared to Trevor Williams. And this, I don't think we ever saw a strategic short track race coming here in the Truck Series, but that's what we're seeing right now. I have no idea how this is
yellow
going to play
flag.
out. Oh!
Yeah, it's going to change it
all. No idea.
Looks like Troy Techmeyer going to be the one involved here. Well, dang it. That was going to be very interesting because we were talking during the break. I was saying if Brad Herman got within 5 seconds of Trevor Williams before he had to pit, I just didn't see a way that Williams could win this race. And I think that might have just saved that 46 machine. So let's go ahead and queue up that Admin Box rec replay here and figure out exactly what happened. I got to turn that wipe off. It just shows you how rusty I am here in the truck booth here tonight. Let's go ahead and cue that up for you.
And one thing that this is going to do while you cue that up, this is going to shake up the entire thing, but it's also, you know about that old saying, cautions breed cautions. See what happens here the rest of the way. Yeah, but little contact. Andrew Harris getting into the back of Troy Techmeyer. Just different entry points there. That's going to be a pretty easy EOL, though, in my opinion. That would go on Andrew Harris. Just getting in deeper into that turn and nowhere for really Troy Techmeyer to go on that one.
That could be a case of just faster tires, not knowing where Techmeyer was going, but that's a big hit for both of those guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And it could also just be something as simple as just different entryways going into a turn. Some people like having a more aggressive line on the high side and a little bit more conservative than others. And I think that's just the case of two different driving styles going into that, or just, one being a little bit too aggressive there. But we do have pit stops going. And a big lead is going to continue here for Trevor Williams, but This whole thing got shaken up in a big, big way.
Shocker there. The 46 comes out in front here, but seeing someone didn't come down. Lucas Lyons, now he is cycling back. Thought he was going to be the leader. My tower lied to me here, but it shows that Trevor Williams will come out number 1. He's got Lane Doyle Lucas going to come down this time, so he must have just missed pit road or something. 94 going to bring it down. That's going to cycle Lane Doyle out to 2nd. And a name we really haven't talked too much about in 3rd, it's going to be Landon Cardulo. Great run for him tonight after being eliminated from the playoffs last week.
Yeah, the first one out. There's always got to be somebody that is the first one out when there's a cut, and it just happened to be Landon Cardulo this time around. But solid run here, and this is. You get to these ovals and these tight ovals like this one, I think that's a track that bodes well for him. And he's put together a really solid run tonight. Started in the top 10, just held it up there much of the night. So that's a real quality run there.
Interesting to see, too. A few drivers opting to take 2 tires, one of which sitting right here, Jeffrey Vickery. He had a 2-tire stop as well as the driver in the 99 just behind him, Wally Babb, is also taking 2 tires. And Corey Stahl back here in 15th, taking 2 tires as well. So they must have seen something from that first pit stop saying, hey, the lefts weren't that bad. They're going to try and get some track position off of this, move up a little bit. So different strategies. You said we didn't expect to see a strategic short race here tonight. And man, it was shaping up to be that case, and still looking like we might see in some chess match moves out there here tonight.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I don't know if I see where 2 tires is going to be the right call at this point. Just personally, I don't see that one, but there might be that little bit of a gamble that maybe we're going to see a lot more cautions here. You're going to pick up a few spots there and get some track position, and maybe things kind of play out in a way that you just kind of get a little bit of a net gain and get out of maybe that mid-pack where we kind of see that little bit of a vortex sometimes. So maybe that's the idea there. I just don't see it. I think 4 tires was the way to go. Real curious how this is going to work now. You got everybody on level ground again as far as that top 10. Obviously, Trevor Williams has the best speed today. That's without question. Now the question is going to be, where's the speed for that 47 truck, which we've seen be solid for a lot of this race, not quite as good as that 46. Where's the 85 going to be in all this? Brad Herman, who I think has been a top 3 truck all night long as well, but now he's going to be a little bit farther back in the pack, so he's got to make his way through the field. Meanwhile, Trevor Williams could just sit there and set sail once again with that clean air. So this is going to be really interesting if we see some green flag laps here.
Well, the everlasting phrase that we hear at short tracks, or really any track, cautions breeding cautions. We might see that really take hold because I have to imagine a lot of these guys have seen how fast that 46 is here tonight. I'm not saying they're going to take him out, but they are going to be racing him really hard to try and get by him. So I'm curious to see how everybody's mindset changes once that green flag drops again here for the Hawkeye 115.
Now, he's going to have his best friend in the world right now going to be sitting to the outside, and that's going to be the 47. They can work together a little bit. They're going to give each other a little bit of room. You just got to make sure that you don't have Madden or Cardulo get up onto that tailgate, make life a little bit difficult, trying to keep him back towards the pack a little bit. But I think that 46, you see that restart, he's going to set sail once again.
Yeah, gets out to a good jump, bringing Landon Cardulo just behind him, though. Landon, I'm not taking my eyes. Oh, we got a spinner right there. That's Kyle Spies, I think.
Oh, Asanio airborne on that coming off of turn 4. We got a couple more involved. It looks like Cunningham, Gagliano. Saw another one back there. Couldn't quite make it out. Troy Techmeyer is that truck.
Big hits for a lot of big names out there. Kyle Spies, heavy damage on the 25 machine. And I kind of foreshadowed it here. Cautions breeding cautions. Let's go ahead and queue up the admin box rec replay. Try and figure out what happened. We just saw that from the camera there on the back straightaway, but let's get a high above look here from our blimp camera. This might have all started on the restart here. Oh, he just gets loose. There's cold tires.
That's exactly what we talked about earlier, and wow, that's a hard hit there for Asanio, getting into the 25 and into the wall. A little bit more damage. I think that was Mike Lepicki, a truck that we didn't catch the first time there, getting a clip there by Gagliano, and seeing Travis Burton turned around. A little bit of a parking lot back there coming out of turn 2, and we talked about it on lap 1 with Ben Park. Cold tires and these tight exits of the turns when everybody's trying to be aggressive. Bad combination here at this racetrack.
Yeah, you get everybody bunched back up. You try to get everything you can, and it just goes away from you just like that. And there are a lot of damaged trucks after that one. To add insult to injury, I mean, he looks like he was the only playoff driver, too, involved in all that as well.
You read my mind. I was just sitting there thinking, like, all right, we're making sure where the other playoff drivers were in that. And as far as I can tell, he is the only one in the playoff field that got caught on that one. And that's heavy, heavy damage. I think he's going to have some suspension issues for sure with that impact that he got from Asanio. Just nowhere for Kevin to go on that one.
Well, second caution of the night here, crossing the stripe to complete the 90th lap of this race. We'll have 40 laps to go here. We're going to step aside one more time and run another quick commercial break and come back with the exciting conclusion of the Hawkeye 115.
Silverback Tax Solutions specializes in dealing with IRS tax problems. If you are receiving threatening letters from the IRS, or if the IRS has placed liens or levies on your property, Silverback Tax Solutions can help you find relief. We have worked with hundreds of people to resolve their tax problems. If you're behind on filing your taxes, it's never too late to get on the right track. Silverback Tax Solutions can help with that also. Don't let another night go by where you lose sleep worrying about the IRS or your taxes. Head over to www.silverbacktacks.com or call 662-996-4357 and contact an enrolled agent today. We can help you gain peace of mind and deal with those problems for you.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Want to be a part of an established league on iRacing? A league that's competitive, fun, and above all fair? Look no further than Speed Racing Network. Originally known as Mid-South Madness, SRN has evolved into a league that can bring the best out in any given driver. Drivers work their way up through the ranks to hopefully one day call themselves a champion of Speed Racing Network. If you're interested in joining, don't hesitate to reach out to league admins to claim your spot today. Maybe you'll end up in the history books. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor in Speed Racing Network, feel free to head over to www.speedracingnetwork.com and reach out to an admin today. And as always, remember to go faster.
All right, pace car lights are off. We're getting ready to get this thing kicked back off for the third time here tonight. Only 2 cautions so far out of a 130 lap race. 93 of them going to be in the book when we cross the stripe next time by. And man, Trevor Williams has been the class of the field all night, but now he's got Landon Cardullo to his outside. He can kind of help his teammate there, Lane Doyle, on the inside, count him down here in the restart zone and kind of get that 47 back in second. And that's going to bring back the Silverback Tax Solutions green flag here at Iowa.
Not just Lane Doyle in second on that inside line, but you got Michael Larch, another one of the teammates there for JW Racing, in third on that inside line. They all got a pretty good jump. Cardullo trying to hang on to the outside of Lane Doyle, though, as they come down the back straightaway. Still real good racing, but what that's going to do is help out the fastest truck on the night a little bit more as they keep racing behind them.
Yeah, I'm not counting out Landon Cardullo by any means. He was able to get back by Lane Doyle, sitting here in second place now. And gotta give a mention too, we saw during the break, Sean Jentic is out of this race. He is back in 34th place, last place. Gonna be last place
Trouble
points.
off too.
Yeah, trouble just like that. Looks like we got Bo Tiffany on the backstretch here. But some playoff drivers, Kyle Spees, Sean Jentic sitting there in the back of this field. So they are gonna have a big hole to dig themselves out of when we get out to Fontana next week. Boy.
Well, this we kind of had a feeling that once we got that one caution a little bit late, this thing was going to start getting a little bit dicey, and it's definitely getting there. As we got another caution, 3 quick cautions. I think we've only seen about 4 green flag laps in between those 3, and this is really going to make this race interesting because we're just going to keep re-racking the field over and over at this rate if these things keep coming up. But one thing that's for sure is if you're out in front, it's a nice spot to be in, obviously, on these restarts because you control that pace. Trevor Williams has done a good job of it. The question, I think, for him to answer is going to be how much can you vary those restarts enough to keep people guessing on when you're going to be going. That's the challenge that any race leader is going to have at this point in the race. When we start getting these repeating cautions over and over, you just got to keep people guessing enough in a pretty tight window on that restart zone.
Well, I would bring the man up here so you could ask him himself, but I'm a little nervous to do that. I know there's a lot on the line here.
Yeah.
I don't want to abuse my power too much, and at the same time, I'm a competitor with these guys. Usually on Wednesdays, I don't want to tick anybody off too bad, or I receive the brunt of it next week out at Auto Club. But I don't think he's got too much to worry about right now. Everybody's on the same playing field when it comes to tires. I think he had a little bit of concern when everything was kind of off, strategic-wise, was a little bit, off balance as far as everybody doing one-stop strategies. He was on a 2-stop. I think he had a little bit of concern then, but right now, I think he knows he's got the baddest hot rod out there, but he's got a hungry Landon Cardulo just behind him, a winless Landon Cardulo so far here this season too. Kind of surprising to say that, considering how fast that 13's been in past seasons.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough challenge. I think for him, it's going to be, all right, where do you figure it out on, if we keep getting these short spurts of green flag runs, Williams is going to have a big head start every single time with the way that he's pulling off these restarts right now and just the nature of being the leader on a restart in itself. But where is that point of aggression and, is it going to burn you if you get too aggressive too early, thinking that we're going to keep seeing these 2 or 3 lap green flag runs? You can set fire to that truck and just keep going as hard as you can, and then the thing stays green, and in about 15 laps, all of a sudden, you're about a quarter of a second a lap slower than everybody else. It's a tough spot to be in when you're in that second spot. Everything tells you to go, but then every now and then, the script kind of gets flipped on you, and maybe we get another one of those long green flag runs. It's a guessing game at that point, and how you got to approach it. I don't even know if it's going to be a thing, though, because of how strong Williams has been tonight, to be honest.
Yeah, so no surprise to see that 46 out in front. We'll give you kind of a rundown here of all of our playoff drivers. So there's Trevor Williams. He's going to probably come away with max points here tonight. If he can win this thing, he's going to have most laps led. I'm not sure as far as the fastest lap goes, but I have to imagine if I'm a bet man, I'm going to go ahead and put that 46 down as the fastest lap, getting that bonus point. He's already got the lap led as well, so he could come away with a big points night here tonight. His teammate Lane Doyle, who's kind of struggled here this season compared to his last season in SRN. He's sitting here P number 3. He's going to be the second highest running playoff driver here so far. So he's going to look to try and seal that up here tonight. There's Michael Madden kind of lurking right there to the outside. He is in 4th place, the 3rd running driver in the playoffs. Michael Larch will be the 5th place driver, 4th out of the playoffs.
And 5th out of that playoff group is 6th place on the field is going to be Danny Dowd. 7th in the running order is going to be Austin Purnell, who's had yet another just quietly strong night. And we were talking about that during the last commercial break. Just seems to be his MO this season. Just sits there inside that top 10 most races. You don't really notice him until the end, and you're just like, man, he was up there again. How about that? Brad Herman sitting there in the he's actually going to be in the 9th position. He's going to be 1 row behind him. Nathan Nixon dropped back a little bit. He'll be in 8th, and kind of a little bit scattered here, I think, with the way they're all kind of lining up at this point. As we check in with Matt Greathouse, he's going to be restarting in 12th. One of the drivers tied for that points lead coming out of the opening round of the playoffs. But everybody back reset, and he's going to be sitting there 7th out of the playoff drivers. 8th out of that playoff field is going to be Blair Holloman in 14th.
Yep, and 9th will be Ben Park, who's had a nice little rebound, and we mentioned the troubles for Kyle Spees as well as Sean Jensick so far. They're going to be the 10th and 11th drivers in the playoffs. So the pace car going to head back down pit lane, and we're going to see the Silverback Tax Solutions green flag once again waving here at Iowa. Let's see if we can get this thing cleaned up because
trouble! Trouble out of the front straightaway. Saw a truck blink out, and that scattered everybody. One went sideways through the grass. It's going to be Connor Cunningham. I think that all started with somebody just blinking out there on that restart, and it just caused all kinds of chaos in the mid-pack.
Yeah, no caution here. Let's see if we can bring that up real quick before we get back out here to the green flag action underway. But yeah, he just didn't go. Looks like, can't tell who that is. Jose Ruiz, maybe?
It was either the 88 or the 55, kind of similar some weeks. But yeah, there was just that blink there. But man, speaking of, we got to back out in front. We talked about how aggressive are you going to be if you're Landon Cardulo on this pace if this thing stays green. There's the first pass on the racetrack for the race lead tonight. And it's going to go to Landon Cardulo playing a playoff spoiler here, getting around that 46.
Yeah, he made that look like a power move and is set and sail now out to 3.5, almost 0.4 of a second ahead of Trevor Williams. Lane Doyle settles in 3rd. Michael Madden wants to take that away. He's looking to the inside now of the 47.
All right, now if this thing stays green, how are those tires going to feel at the end of this run? That's going to be the question, because this is an aggressive pace from Landon Cardulo. He just put down a qualifying type of lap, 23.6 last time by, one of the fastest laps we've seen all race long.
Yeah, riding on board here, you can just see the 13 really utilizing that higher lane, the higher degree angle of the turn, really using the speed up there. Going to go down to the bottom now, make me look like a liar, but he seems to be really pushing it, like you said. And I think Trevor's just going to ride here for a little bit. Knows he's got time here if it does stay green to make a move. He's staying within striking distance, just a half second back.
Yeah, it's Cardulo. He put down a 23.7 last time by. This time by, now he's starting to back it up a bit. I think he saw how big of a gap he had. He's got a 23.9 this time, so he's starting to pull back a little bit on those reins, just making sure that he doesn't blow up those tires completely. But that was a huge run that he had after that green flag, and that's going to alter this race completely, whether it stays green or if we start seeing these cautions return.
It's not a bad move considering we just had a string of 3 consistent and 3 back-to-back-to-back caution flags come out. You got to get the track position if this thing is shaping up to be yellow all the way to the end after a long green flag start to this race. Right now, we'll see if that plan backfires. So far, he's almost got a second lead in that clean air. That 13 set and sail at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, this is completely catching me off guard how far he's pulling out in front of everybody. In fact, I believe he's going to be the only driver still running in the 23-second range this last time by, and caution out on the racetrack.
Just as I bring up the lap times to back you up on that, you're exactly right. 4th caution, and this is why it's important to get out to that lead here. Let's see who we got here. Looks like Andrew Harris involved this time. A big time damage for that 87.
Oh, that thing all kinds of skewed.
Doesn't look like it's feeling good at the moment, and that's what happens when you pick these guys. That's why I didn't pick a playoff driver here tonight.
Well, let's see what happened. And keep in mind, Andrew Harris did get the OL earlier tonight.
Well, that's retaliation spelled out perfectly. Can't imagine the admins will like that too much here.
Yeah, that's kind of a hard one to hide there. That was a very deep dive into that turn, and we saw those two on the flip earlier, and sometimes that does happen.
No, not short track racing. Nobody gets angry when we're short track racing. Let's ride on board here. I don't think we're not even going to hear him lift. Yeah. And, you know, I get it, but, man, at the end of the day, what if you got some playoff drivers around here? You got to think with your head. But luckily I'm not out there tonight, and you know, they're gonna have to sort that out. The admin's gonna have some work to do here after this one.
Yeah, I mean, we have a chuckle about it, but that is kind of one of those things that we get it. Everybody's been
Sure.
frustrated. Everybody's had those moments of, all right, I see my opportunity, let's do it. We even see that in real life. Not going to say anything there about that this week, but but at the end of the day, we got 20 laps to go. We had a driver that pulled out to a 1 second lead.
Yeah.
That's going to completely flip the script on this thing. We got some guys that are going to be staying out after that pit stop. Jeffrey Vickery, Wally Babb looks like they're both staying out after taking 2 tires earlier, just completely changing the race here. So
I think they're gonna park the 32 after that.
Yep, that did actually
And
just
he
happen.
just got booted. And you know, like we said, we know there's anger, but yeah, I mean, it sucks for a lot of these guys. I mean, Landon Cardullo, who got out to that lead, he's going to have to back up to Trevor Williams now, and it's going to be another great finish here. Hopefully we can keep this thing clean.
Absolutely, and if this thing does stay green now the rest of the way, or even if not, that's going to be one of those things of just, you know, here
What
we
if?
go. You know,
Yeah.
everybody on fresh tires, aside from a handful of guys out there staying on older ones, that's going to be a little bit of a shake-up point there. And it takes out question what we were talking about of how aggressive Landon Cardullo's lap times were. If that was going to come back and maybe hurt him, fair game now. Now it's everybody right back to where they were.
Yeah, I mean, Trevor Williams could have been sitting back there waiting to clean up those tires a little bit and waiting to pounce on Landon Cardullo, and, well, Landon's got the same tires that Trevor does here, and Trevor is really going to have to work for it. And the bad news for Trevor, too, is the 7 of Jeff Vickery staying out. I think this is going to bode well for Landon Cardullo with those fresher tires, fresher slicks on this restart. I think that 13 is going to jump right back out and get a good lead over that 46. It's going to be hard for Trevor Williams to come away with a win after this thing.
Yeah, and that's going to be the thing that we got to keep an eye on here. There's 2 ways that this could go, and I'm going to sound like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth on this one, but it's kind of just what it is. If Jeffrey Vickery gets a good restart, this thing goes right back into the hands of Trevor Williams, where he's going to have that inside line on Landon Cardullo. If Jeffrey Vickery doesn't get a good restart on these older tires and a little bit of mismatched tires as well, because last time he came down, he took 2. So those lefts are going to be very old compared. You know, then all of a sudden he's going to be backing up that inside line, and Landon Cardullo, Nathan Nixon, they're going to have a good run on that high line. So it's going to go either way. And the only person that really knows and really doesn't know at this point, but is going to know quicker than everybody else, is the guy in the 7 truck, Jeffrey Vickery, taking this home run cut.
Yeah, and you know, you can say there's not too many laps on those tires as far as green flag racing. I think he might be all right, but I don't think it's going to be enough to give the 46 the edge over the 13, because let's be honest, it's going to come down to those 2 trucks. They have been the flat-out fastest here. They have fresh tires over the 7. I think the Vickery machine is going to be a sitting duck. But take a look at Nathan Nixon and Wally Babb there, 4th and 5th. They came down and pitted, did the 2-tire stop strategy. Don't have many laps on those left sides. Matt Grayhouse also taking this chance, who has not had a good run here tonight. He's up to 8th now after doing the 2-tire stop. And Lucas Lyons also taking that strategy as well, moves him up to 10th. So this is completely shaking up the top 10, and this could really impact how and who moves on to that round of 5.
Yeah, and you know what? At the end of the day, we talked about it before, you know, taking those 2 tires, getting the track position, it paid off in a big way, getting ahead of those incidents that happened on those quick restarts and quick cautions right after, getting that track position yet again. We start seeing another caution or 2. That might be a huge call here for guys like Nixon and Babb that are taking those 2 tires.
Well, let's see if Vickery going to come out and get a good jump here. Does not. He kind of stacks up the field, waiting for as long as he did. But the Silverback Tax Solutions green flag out, and it is on. Ooh, Landon gets a little bit loose going into turn 1. He is completely off the pace.
And I think he saw an opportunity to try to take that high line and maybe split around that 7 truck, and he just got way too deep in trying it. That's going to leave that door wide open. Inside line, Trevor Williams trying to take the race lead, but here comes that 13 right back in the picture.
Oh, yeah, we're going to see him really pushing here, and he is trying to get it down here to the inside. He doesn't want to hurt Williams, and he's going to make contact. They're going to bounce doors off each other. Vickery trying to pay and give respect here to these guys that are battling it for the lead. Doesn't really want to hinder Williams' playoff chances, but just like that, Cardullo, he might get by here on the inside.
And he's trying to keep Williams up behind the 7 truck, knowing that the 7 is going to be a little bit more off pace. Williams trying to make the Cardulo a little bit uncomfortable there, going down the front straightaway, trying to get everybody as uncomfortable as possible in this lead battle, or all 3 of them at this rate, it feels
John
like.
Holiday.
Oh.
I think this is going to be another cold tire situation here. We are used to seeing this back here in turn number 2.
You know what? I'm hearing a little bit more chatter, though, than maybe a little bit of a cold tire deal, so let's find out.
So that's
Rob Yost on the
Byron
inside.
Jones in
Oh,
front
Byron Jones loose, and
Big
just
hit.
overcorrected it right in front of the 9.
Big hit there for the 9. See if we can get another angle here on board the 9 machine, and he's just going to have nowhere to go.
No, and I tell you what, I think that was a little bit of contact actually between Jones and Park. Yeah, there's nowhere for Holiday to go.
You hear the engine blow up and everything. That is going to be it for that 9 truck here tonight. But yeah, I just think that all stems back to the 32. We could have been done by now if you could just calm your tempers down a little bit. But right now we're seeing some more victims come out of that whole thing, I believe.
Yeah, just kind of bunching up that field again, and kind of leads to that. Sounds, listening to the admin talk right now, sounds like they're going to pin that on netcode, actually. We didn't get a good look at that. Looked like contact, sounds like netcode. Here we go, actually getting another glance at this one between Byron Jones and Ben Park. It's a big dive in. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that I can't blame iRacing for that one. It did look like Ben Park was going to get into him there. He held up. I mean, he didn't make contact. Definitely netcode there, but just getting in way deeper than Byron Jones. I don't think that's any fault of either driver there. But still, I can't blame iRacing for thinking that was going to be contact there.
No, and yeah, that's a easy decision for the system to think that contact was coming, but that was actually a good job keeping it off of each other. Now, here's something I'm curious about, and I'll pitch this one to you since you've been driving in the series as of late.
Oh.
You're Landon Cardulo. You're on fresh tires. The other side of the front row is on old tires.
I already know what
you
you're saying.
already know where, yeah. If I'm Landon Cardulo, why don't I take the outside and pin the 7 in front of Trevor Williams with a little bit older tires?
Especially considering how the inside lane fares. I feel like we've seen a lot of people lose the trucks here on cold tires on that inside lane. Give me that outside lane to restart. I would be shocked to see Landon Cardulo not do that, but maybe he's not listening to us right now.
Maybe, I mean, it could just be something of you're used to that inside line on the restarts when you have that choice and you feel comfortable with that. I mean, I'm not going to say that either way is wrong. If you're the race leader and you're comfortable with the inside line, take the inside line without question. But that's just kind of something we saw the pace difference there and how tough it was to race each other and get by. And well, it looks like the 13 going to stick with the inside.
No, they haven't picked yet, but I am absolutely picking up what you're putting down. I agree with you 100%, but you're comfortable in that inside lane. You're going to restart on that inside lane, and that's exactly what we're going to see. I mean, that's not to take anything away from Lane Doyle, too. I'm not counting that 47 out by any means. We saw how aggressive. What's up?
I was saying without question.
Oh, yeah. I don't think, considering how aggressive they were running here, I think he's going to get in here and mix it up. But knowing Lane as well as I know him, which isn't that well, but I think he's just kind of minding his business, knowing what the situation is right now. He's the second highest running playoff driver. At the end of the day, that's a win in my book if you're in that 47 machine. So I'm kind of curious to know what his plan is here.
It's a tough call, and man, the way that he sped up, I thought maybe he was going to take that outside there for Landon Cardulo.
He's going to take it. He's going to take that inside.
Yeah, inside line. So going to be straight up here, keeping it traditional, taking that inside line. He's going to stay in front of Trevor Williams. Now, what that should do is, with what we saw in that last restart, Jeffrey Vickery, it's just tougher on that the tire life that he's on, that balance that he's got right now to get that restart going, especially when he's going to be the one that's reacting to the driver that's going to be the control truck. So that's going to really hamper the efforts there for Lane Doyle, Michael Madden, everybody on that outside line, just that little bit. But it is going to open up the possibility here that Trevor Williams can still get that good run. And we might have a little bit of a match race here for these 10 laps.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. He's going to be mashing that gas pedal as opposed to easing into it when you're the control car here. So I'm curious to see how that 7 does here once we get to that Geico restart zone and see that Silverback Tax Solutions green flag, which we are going to see waving right here for the 6th time of the night, back underway for the Hawkeye 115.
And to make us all look stupid, that was actually a great restart by Jeffrey Vickery on the outside.
That's what they do. That's why I had to come back in the booth. I wanted to give these truckers another chance to make me look stupid like they do every week, whooping my butt out there. But Landon Carlucci gets a great jump here. And Trevor Williams having to work to get by Jeffrey Vickery. He's holding his own back there.
Yeah, he's trying to make that high line work. Now he's finally going to get clear of them through 3 and 4, and now race is on. Can he catch that 13 truck? We got the fastest truck here in the last 25, 30 laps since these cautions started flying versus the fastest truck overall tonight. 1-2 with Lane Doyle kind of sitting there right behind, maybe trying to pick up the scraps if there's a mistake between these two.
Yep, he's going to come back to the stripe to take 7 laps to go here for the Hawkeye 115. Lane Doyle sitting there 3rd, Michael Madden in 4th, and the guy we mentioned, Austin Purnell, sitting there in 5th. He just sits there, gets it done week after week, and look like he might come away with a great night here tonight at Iowa Speedway. But right now, Landon Cardulo, his teammate for Jonathan Bayer Racing, well out in front, staring down, possibly getting his first win of the season here for that 13 truck.
6 more short laps to go. They were about level last time by, just a couple of hundredths of a second apart for Cardulo and Williams, really for much of the field, all running within about a tenth and a half of each other until you get back to Jeffrey Vickery on that alternate tire strategy.
Back to the stripe, 5 laps to go. They're ticking off quickly here. If we can keep this thing green, we're going to be done within 2 minutes. So another driver moving up is Matt Greathouse. He's made a good run back up to 6th. I know he is going to be tickled with that, but right now, the race is for the lead. Williams almost 0.8 of a second behind Landon Cardulo, and I just do not see it happening with how the pace has changed in that 13. Both these guys having fresher tires, like we said, potentially giving Williams a chance here with how hard the 13 was running there before about 20 laps ago. Fresher tires changed the game here. I think 13 is checking out here hard for the 46 catch up. Now Lane Doyle possibly taking a look.
Just about to say that 47 making an appearance here, maybe making a run for the 2nd place position. And keep in mind, Lane Doyle, Austin Purnell, they tied on that cut line to advance to this round. So the last 2 in are going to be 2 of the first 4 in the playoff standings if things still hold. But how about this inside look for Austin Purnell to Michael Madden, that for the 4th position. Oh, tight moment coming off of 2.
Yeah, Madden was going to try and pin him down there. Has every right to do so. Almost makes contact. 36 look really fast here on the inside. Not going to be able to get it this time. Got to be careful. Almost making contact. 2 to go.
So we got a great battle here. Saw good defensive lines from Trevor Williams trying to hold off his teammate Lane Doyle for 2nd. And meanwhile, while all that goes on, just makes it a little bit easier for Landon Cardulo, who's continuing to put down some of the fastest times on track. 5 of the last 6. Caution right before we take the white flag.
Yeah, not sure who that was. That might have been Madden and Purnell. Trying to see. Oh, McCrackey I'm seeing here. Purnell was way up there, so I thought that might have been involving him. We heard the tires squealing there. We're going to have to take a look at that inbox rec replay, and that changes everything, as they say.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. Maybe Purnell and Madden, they kind of maybe lost some time just checking up at the caution. It's interesting. But taking a look back here, see if we can find the cause of this. We've got Jason Kratke and Byron Jones making contact. Not a lot going on, but that's still a stopped truck on the racetrack. And
it's
man, iRacing with a little bit of a iRacing with a little bit of a real life NASCAR moment here. Very quick caution thrown by iRacing, and it's always worth. Always
2
worth
trucks
noting.
that weren't even in it either, and that's going to be the frustrating point for a lot of guys too. I mean, 2 lappers.
Yeah.
I'll say
stopped on the racetrack. But yeah, and always worth noting, iRacing throws the cautions, not the league
Yes.
admins. So that was electronically called, but yeah, very, very quick caution for sure. And man, like you
Well,
said, that changes everything.
yeah. I don't think we're going to see any takers this time. I mean, we got Bo Tiffany, Lipicki, Jeff No, and Connor Cunningham, but they're outside the top 20 here. So all of our leaders going to stay out and hang on to the positions that they've earned here so far, and that was one set of turns away. I mean, Barney had the white flag in hand there. He was ready to crank that thing and wrap this show up here tonight, but we were looking like we were going to get out of here before 10. Not the case, Brandon. It has just turned into an absolute caution fest in this last third portion of the race.
Yeah, just kind of making up for lost time, and that's just the nature of these short tracks. We get that long green flag run that I think surprised us there, but it just cranked up the pressure on everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Once we got back to stacking the field back up and getting these opportunities to make up as much ground as they possibly can, and just kind of opened up that possibility for some guys to make some moves through there. And a race where we've seen that it's a little bit difficult to make passes just because of all the options the truck in front has to try to defend. And that's going to be the story now. What does Landon Cardulo have to try to keep that lead spot ahead of Trevor Williams? Does Trevor Williams have the pace back in that truck? It's obviously gone towards the 13 in the last third of this race when it comes to the pace on the racetrack. Does he have enough pace in that 46 truck now to respond quickly and also get that lead back within a 2-lap stretch? It's tough to do here.
Yeah, it's just curious. We're going to learn a lot about Trevor Williams in the next couple of laps, too, just to figure out what his agenda is here tonight. Do you want to win races, or do you want to move on to the next round? Because you can certainly win this race. It's not going to be a very fun one for Landon Cardulo, I feel like, because that's going to involve a bumper, I feel like, to another bumper. And that puts the 46 in danger of possibly getting wrecked out of this thing. And we're going to learn a lot here. Does he take the position here and get the points and come away in first place in the standings after tonight, or does he really want another trophy in that case?
Yeah, and it's an interesting call. I mean, you're putting yourself in a spot, and just from watching the entire season, and maybe you can speak to it a little bit more being out there with everybody this season, but Trevor Williams, one of the cleaner drivers out there. And that's kind of one of those things. Like I always talk about, you got your checking and your savings account. Your checking is kind of the short-term stuff. The savings is what you do in the long run to build up respect from people. You build up that savings enough, you can kind of get a little bit aggressive with people once you get to this point in the season when you got a whole lot on the line. That I wouldn't rule that out, that this would be a perfect time to do something like that. So we talk a little bit about the gamesmanship that Landon Cardulo could have done on that last restart with Jeffrey Vickery on the different tires. Got a little bit of that competitive gamesmanship possible here from the 46 or even the 47. Two clean drivers sitting right behind that 13 who's kind of playing playoff spoiler right now.
I'm curious to know what is happening here. I see Austin Purnell has dropped back to 6th place after battling for 4th here with Madden as the guys get gridded up. Going to see what happens here. This is about a lap or so before that caution comes out. We saw Purnell off the pace. Curious to see if we can figure it out. I think they're going to make contact here, and I don't think Madden's going to really like that too much. Yep.
Yep.
And I was going to say, because Greyhouse got around him too, and then we're going to see the caution come out right there. The lights come on.
Now, what I will say is very different than what we saw earlier. That's the right way to do something like that if you're going to go that route. You show the bumper, you make the contact, but you let them have a chance to collect
And also, if you're Austin Purnell, you're expecting that. I mean,
yeah.
All right, pace car off the track in the Silverback Tax Solutions. Green flag waving here for our first attempt at a green-white checker here for the Hawkeye 115. Cardulo gets a good jump. Doyle takes over second.
Yeah, that was a bit of a squirrely restart there for Trevor Williams on the outside. Landon Cardulo going to dive down low trying to make it, and that is not going to be enough space there for Lane Doyle. I thought maybe he was going to try to get that momentum on the high side. Didn't quite have it as we take the white flag.
Yeah, white flag waving. 1 lap to go. This race is official. When the next flag comes out, it is over. Cardulo out in front. Doyle's there, though. Let's see what he's got here. He's going to possibly get a bumper to the 13. How hard does he send it in here to 3 and 4? He's not going to be too worried about it. He wants to come away with that top position. He is going to go ahead and take second while Landon Cardulo wins the Hawkeye 115 tonight. Ooh, Lucas Lyons.
Trouble behind. Oh, hello. Thankfully passed the line, but that's a big old wreck right there. And this is, I mean, we talked about it last night. We didn't see a lot of separation in the Cup side and the point standings. And for 9 of the drivers in the truck point standings, not going to see a lot of separation there either. But Landon Cardulo playing that playoff spoiler as he takes a checkered flag here at Iowa with a great performance there in that last third of the race.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming for Landon. He's used to doing this here in Speed Racing Network. His rookie year, he had a bunch of wins in that 13 machine, but boy, has he struggled to get back there this season. But he's a winner here in the SRN TJ's Team Foundation Truck Series, the 13, parking it in victory lane here at Iowa.
And he always had good practice from past couple seasons. These burnouts, this is a solid burnout here.
Absolutely, making it well worth his while here because, like I said, has struggled to get back here, and he is going to enjoy every bit of it as he has wrapped it up. Just as I say that, he's going to go ahead and probably do a few more here. He's going to do a little Polish victory lap potentially. Nope. He just wants to go right back to where he was. All right, at this point, I think he's trolling me here. So I think he is done with his celebration here. So we're going to head on up to the blimp, get our final results of the night. I've actually updated the graphics. So it says race 17 of 20 in the books. Just takes a little while to get everything back underway here. Landon Cardulo is the winner here by a quarter of a second over Lane Doyle. Man, heck of a run by that 47 to get by his teammate Williams, who is probably going to come away in first place. Williams will have that first place spot with all the bonus points he got here tonight, so we'll be talking to him in just a second. Michael Madden comes home fourth, and Matt Greathouse, what a run back up to fifth.
Also a solid night here for Wally Babb. That might be a season high finish there for him in that 99 truck of 6th place. Nathan Nixon, a solid 7th as well. Lucas Lyons finishing up in 8th. And then a couple more playoff drivers right there closing out the top 10. Blair Holloman with a nice recovery driving back up to the 9th position. Austin Purnell saw that contact, kind of got him a little bit out of sorts there. Lost a few more spots after that restart, and he's going to round out our top 10.
Brad Herman comes home in 11th after we saw him kind of show his muscle early on in this race. I know that is going to be not the result he was looking for because that is 7th out of all those playoff drivers. Michael Larch comes home 8th. Great rebound for Ben Park, 13th. I know he's going to be the 9th running driver out of those playoff trucks, but considering how his night began, not too bad for the tank racing driver in the 8 machine. Jeff Vickery in 14th. Corey Stahl in 15th.
16th place will be Jeff No. Rob Yost Jr. will finish in 17th. Danny Dow will be 18th place. 19th will go to Derek De Silva. 20th will go to Jose Ruiz out of 23 that stayed on the lead lap on our field of 34.
Yeah, so a great run here tonight that started with a long green flag run by these guys and kind of got messy there at the end. Shook everything up. And we got ourselves a new winner here this season. But first, let's bring up Trevor Williams. I know this is going to be a tough interview considering how strong that 46 machine was here tonight. Trevor, it's Greg Olenek and Brandon Domain up here in the SRN broadcast booth. I know you didn't even notice I wasn't out there with you here tonight, but I know you're going to be a little bit bummed here after just dominating this race and coming home in third. Tell us what you could have possibly done different to maybe get that win here tonight.
I did notice you weren't there, Greg. Don't sell yourself short. I'm not really that bummed about it, to be honest with you. I worked really hard this week on this track. It's not a good track for me. I mean, I've been saying it the last couple times I've been up here in the booth, and I worked really hard on long runs and pit entry and all the stuff that I thought I would need, which it almost worked out that way. But at the end, I mean, we all know how Landon, races. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. He races hard. He's a hard charger, and I knew that he didn't have anything to lose, so I wasn't going to push the issue there. I was happy where I was at.
You mentioned Landon being a hard charger, but we were talking earlier that you're one of two drivers, I think, that really has been the hard charger as we started getting into the playoff swing through that first round and now into the second round, keeping that big momentum going where, you got 3 quality runs. That's 3 top 3 finishes in a row right now going into Auto Club and Gateway to close out this round. That momentum, how big is that going into now in the back half of this playoff swing, trying to make that push for Vegas?
It is huge, and it's just, a lot of it comes down to your qualifying effort and, getting out front and staying out of trouble and not having to race as hard and stuff like that. But, a lot of it is just credit to how hard we work throughout the week and, being smart and, like you said, getting the momentum, some confidence, and it all, plays in.
Well, before we get off to Fontana and you get started on your second race here in the round of 2, and you got that team championship, I'm not going to mention who you're going up against, but you got a lot to worry about in the next couple of weeks. Who you got to thank here tonight?
Everyone, Justin Rideout for putting this thing together for us, and all my teammates, Bo, Lane, Dean, and Larch. All of our teammates that are running the Xfinity and Cup Series, we all practice together and work together. My dad and Kelly and my wife Jess and the kids that are probably asleep by now, but they were probably watching, and just everybody, you guys. I love it. Having a blast.
Awesome, man. Well, we love having you up here and always see you doing well. We like seeing that, but man, just take it easy the next couple of weeks if you don't mind me asking. I want to win that team championship, so just chill out for me.
Good luck, buddy. I'm sure it'll be fun.
All right, buddy. Take care. We'll see you next week in Fontana. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to P number 2 now. Lane Doyle, got to track him down, bring him on up to the booth. It's just a JW party up here in the broadcast booth. Lane, it's Greg Olenek, Brandon Domain. Welcome. Great run for you here tonight, bud. Coming just short of a win, but I know a second place run here after barely making it into this second round of the playoffs is going to be a huge confidence booster for you in that 47 machine.
Oh, it's been a struggle all year. Finally getting a second place is... Not finally, I've gotten a second, but doing it this early in this round is, like I said, a huge confidence booster.
One thing we were talking about earlier during the race is, you've been one of the cleanest drivers out there the second half of the season. I think this was a 0 incident point race for you again here tonight. What has that done for you? Just being able to stay obviously out of the trouble that goes around is a big thing, but just that kind of switch that happened there in the second half, it just seems like you've kind of found that form from last season once again out there. How has that been here in these last 8-9 races?
Oh, it's been so nice to finally finish races above the 20th place. The first part of the season I struggled to finish. I think I had below 20th and then 5th, and then the next 3 were below 15th or something awful like that. But I think I finally found my form, especially with these tracks, Iowa being one of my favorite tracks to race on the entire series. So finally found a gear, get going, and I hope to keep it up.
All right, Brandon. So we heard not to schedule Iowa for these JW guys next year because they were just killing it out there here tonight. But you got to work on Fontana next week out at Auto Club. That's where we'll be in the truck series. I'll be back out there with you as well. But tell me who you got to thank before we move on to that second race here at the round of 10.
Well, I got to thank my family that sponsors me over at Integrity Taxing. They've been instrumental this year and helped me do what I do and do what I love. And then recently, friends and family have been a huge part. We lost someone really close to us in the family, my father, a few weeks ago, and the outpouring of support has just been wild. So I would not be here if it weren't for them, especially in the last few weeks, showing up to these races. So I want to thank all of them and love them all.
Well, we are very sorry to hear about your loss, man. We're a big family here, and we take pride in that, and we'll always love you, man, and take care of you. But we're excited to see what you can do in Fontana next week, Lane. Super glad that you came away with a good run here tonight, so best of luck when we get out to Auto Club.
Thank you.
All right, so that was Lane Doyle coming home P number 2 here tonight. Let's get to the man of the hour, though. Waste no more time. Well, actually, he's talking to the admins right now, and
Yeah.
hearing what we heard, I'm not sure we want to talk to him right yet. Knowing, nope, there he is. They're going to send him up here for us. Landon, it's just bouncing around everywhere. Welcome to the broadcast booth, man. Coming away, Pete, number 1 here tonight. Had a little meeting with the admins there, but tell me what's going through your mind right now. You're a winner here this season. Took you a little while, but nonetheless, parking at 13 back in victory lane.
Yeah, it feels it feels actually really good. Had a solid truck tonight. Beginning of the race started in the mid 10th, 11th, 12th. I don't remember, but kept it clean, saved the tires. Pit strategy definitely helped out a lot there. Was able to get track position. Definitely not the season that we wanted. Neither my team has wanted either. With people coming and going, and me and Austin pretty much holding down the fort for these playoff races has been kind of tough. But we're showing strong, and I know Austin's in the playoffs, so that's a big gain. But yeah, I'm just mentally and physically not here this season for me. Trying my hardest though, like I said when I made the playoffs, that I'd give it my all, and unfortunately we came short. But yeah, we're here in victory lane for once this season. Crazy.
Well, what that did do, obviously, from one person that fell short of getting to the second round to another, I know it gives you that little bit of that kind of like getting that weight off your chest a little bit. There's a little bit less pressure once you get through those next races and into that. How much did that play into this one? Just kind of having the pressure off when it comes to continuing on with the playoffs and just being able to focus on one race at a time now.
The pressure is actually still there for me, at least. You want to go into every race, no matter what position you're in, trying to fight for a win. And the biggest thing now is, yeah, we were fighting to get to the next round and be able to win for a championship. But now that we have that taken away, now we have to make sure that we keep everybody clean and, not get into somebody's mess where you accidentally take out a playoff guy, because that just makes it look really, really bad for me or yourself. So the pressure's there because you want to race hard. You just don't want to get into anybody. And I know I had a close call with Trevor there, a couple laps with Jeffrey too. Wasn't gonna run up the track and knock him out of the way, but just wanted to race him a little dirty. We're trying to race for the win here, but otherwise I wasn't gonna wreck him. So yeah, it's just pressure's still there. You don't want to make enemies, especially everybody's trying to stay clean and come back for next season. So no enemies is a big thing.
No, I wouldn't call that dirty at all. That's just hard racing. It's like we've heard that before. That's just short track racing, man. And I think you did it as well as you could have out there. And I think you earned a lot of respect too. We heard Trevor in his interview saying, we know how Landon races. He's a hard charger. He knows he's going to be a challenge. And racing with you this season, I can second that. So I'm excited to see you finally park that thing in victory lane, even though you snatched that playoff lucky dog away from me. That's a topic for another day. It's all good, man. But you know what? I know how it feels to kind of prove yourself after being eliminated, and super proud of you here tonight. So before we let you go and move on to Auto Club, who you got to thank here tonight?
I got to thank all my sponsors, Anderson Auto Group, Star Tool and Die Works, Chicago Heights. They came on board when Jacob stepped away. So definitely big shout out to them. Bolify, just everybody on our team. Jonathan, Austin, just my teammates that didn't make it. They're huge help. And they kind of got me to, I actually disabled my voice chat because I didn't want to get into any trouble. So that was a big plus. But yeah, and my grandparents are watching, my girlfriend, and yeah, it's a good birthday present for me today.
Heck yeah, man. Happy birthday. And yeah, that can't get much better than that. Go have fun celebrating with the girlfriend and all your family. And best of luck. Next week, I'll be back out there with you guys, and we'll see what you can get done at Auto Club.
Yeah, good to have you back. I appreciate it, guys.
All right, buddy. So that was Landon Cardulo, our winner here tonight. And Brandon, just like that, we've wrapped up Iowa, the first race in the books here in the round of 11 here in the Truck Series.
Yeah, and I mean, we got 8 of the 11, excuse me, 9 of the 11 still sitting there, very tightly packed when it comes to the point standings. We'll have those. Looks like tomorrow will be finalized. I know there's going to be some reviews going on there. You kind of hinted at that on that final restart, but there's going to be a couple of guys and a couple heavy hitters that are going to have to start making a big charge in these final 2 races with Jensic and Spies once we get out to Auto Club for that Hollywood 140.
And I'm not counting Jensic out by any means because, like you said, we've seen some of these guys. I mean, you got Blair Holloman through Ben Park, all playoff drivers sitting there 9th through 13th. That's not the best night. They're still leaving the door open for a Kyle Spies and a Sean Jensic to possibly get back into this thing. Who's to say they don't have some trouble next week? We've seen some great action here in the Truck Series and definitely looking forward to that. Moving on to the Hollywood 140. Same time, same place, just might have a different voice in the booth. Might have Sean Griffith back next week, joined by Brandon Domain. But you're going to have us tomorrow for the Xfinity Series race out at Chicagoland. Like I said, good point to not, say Chicago because that can really confuse people. So we'll be out at Chicagoland tomorrow night for the Xfinity Series race. They're kicking off their round of 10. That should be a good one.
Absolutely. That track is, we always talk about, Kansas, Vegas, tracks like that just always seem to put on a heck of a show when it comes to these SRN races. Xfinity cars and the Silverback Tax Series out at Chicagoland, that's just a good combination there with a whole lot of guys trying to make a statement in that first race.
Absolutely. So definitely come on back for that. But that's going to wrap it up for us here tonight. So for everybody behind the scenes, myself, Brandon Domain, Sean Griffith, and Jason Tripp, we all wish you guys a good night and go faster.